Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. Welcome back to my playthrough of GTA Vice City Stories. So we still got some more Empire missions to do. So on the last part we did the Protection Racket missions. On this one we're going to be doing the Loan Shark missions. I tried to recreate Vic's outfit here. Got kind of the shirt. I don't have the right color tie, but I tried my best to make this outfit too. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's do this one here then. This is the Loan Sharking missions. And I'll explain what a loan sharking business is exactly. Let's go outside here. Repossess the van full of merchandise. Okay. So now, to basically explain what is loan sharking. Loan sharking is basically an illegal way for gangs and like mafias and other such to loan money basically to people for. Okay, there we go. Let's take this van here.
No one's gonna miss you.
Take the vehicle back to the depot. Okay. So, basically what a loan shark does is...
You're blocking me in!
Think about, like, how a bank gives out a loan, but think about it being illegal and also scary at the same time. Because when the bank is, when you don't pay back the loan to the bank's gonna charge you more, or at the end, they're gonna repossess your stuff and your house, ultimately. However, though, if you borrow money from a gangster, like the mafia or such, or a gang, and you don't pay them back, they're gonna really hurt you. So not only are they gonna take your stuff, but they're gonna really hurt you. And, for the most part, loan sharks aren't gonna kill, the people that owe them money if they're late on payments. The reason is because if they kill the person that owes them payments, then they're not gonna get paid. So there's no way for them to make money. They might kill the person if they get their money in the end. Like in here, you know, Vic is repossessing their vehicles. So these are people that borrowed money. These are people that borrowed money from the Vance gang and didn't pay it back. And so a lot of times these loan sharks can be some really scummy people, because the loan sharks will specifically target people that they know they can exploit. So they'll target somebody that they know can't pay them back. Like they might target like a drug addict, somebody that they know isn't gonna pay them back. And so then they basically might use that person forever. They might use that person to try to get favors. If they have some kind of connections, they would just constantly keep abusing that person and taking more and more and more stuff from them, telling them they're late on payments. And they would justify this by saying that they didn't make them take the loan in the first place, but the loan sharks target people like this. They prey on people. That's why they're called loan sharks, because they target people like this. They're sharks in a way. Okay, it's actually, this is actually much easier than the Protection Racket. Yeah, much easier. I wonder if it's much harder it's gonna get later on. Oop. But, yeah, wow, look at that. A lot of TVs and VCRs. You know, this would barely be worth anything today, but, like, imagine back then, in, like, 1984, imagine how much, like, a truck full of, like, VCRs and, like, TVs would be worth. This would be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, repossess another bike. Okay.
This train stops here.
Okay, there we go. Take it back to the depot, it's easy. And, like, I'm trying to think of, like, the best example of a loan shark in video games. Oh, yes, Strauss. In Red Dead Redemption 2, Strauss is probably the best example of a loan shark. You know, that's the Wild West, but what he does is still loan sharking. Like, how he picks on people specifically that he knows are not going to be able to pay him back. And the thing is, though, is, in Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't think that I don't think that Strauss even realizes that what he's doing is fully wrong, because he justifies it to Arthur by saying that he's keeping the camp fed, and he's providing for the women and the kids in the camp, and his loans are doing that in a way, even though it's messed up as it is. So he's trying to justify it, saying that, oh, you know, I'm picking on these people, but they're not paying back their loans, and so I'm providing for the camp. And I think he truly believes that he's helping in a way, even though it's really messed up. That's why ultimately Arthur will throw him out of the camp.
Hey, Desmond, what's up?
Okay. Yeah, I wish I could play B-Rock for you guys. These trucks are just so much faster than the trucks in like GTA 4 and GTA 5. Like, these are so fast. And why are these trucks not closed on the back? Like, why is the back of them not closed? I don't understand.
I've had enough of these British DJs.
Okay.
Some a-hole stole my lawnmower.
I could never
Repossess another bike. So is this basically what the whole loan sharking business is repossessing trucks and bikes? I guess it is. No, this bike is like right next to me too.
She was a boss, man.
Come on, baby, I gotta go number 2.
Mother cars are broke, you dig?
Fall back, soldier. I sail better than y'all drive. I gotta dock this
Ah.
shit. Move it.
Last chance to draw a
Kevin
breath.
finna start some.
Okay, here we go. And what is it? You know, virtually, you know, every major, like, you know, criminal organization has some form of loan sharking, some form of it. Because when you think about it, it's easy money for them. Because they're not really doing much, they're just loaning people money. And there are people who pay off the criminal organization on time. But then a lot of times, there are people that don't get to pay them back on time, and some really bad things end up happening. The people get hurt pretty badly. In The Sopranos, in season 1, I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but there was like a gambling addict who he borrowed a lot of money from Tony Soprano, who was the boss of the Soprano family. And he borrowed a lot of money from them to gamble, obviously. Now, Tony most likely knew that the guy wasn't going to pay off his debts, and so they were going to use the guy. They caught the guy, they beat him up in like the first episode, sent him to the hospital. Oh wow, is a truck right here? Seriously? Wow, that was the easiest mission ever. Okay. But anyways, so Tony beat the guy up. And what ended up happening was they made the guy they forced the guy to participate in an insurance scam. That's basically what they made the guy do.
Stole my lawnmower.
And so they can these gangs can basically try to convince, like, or I shouldn't even say convince, but force people to, like, you know, partake in criminal activities for them. And the reason that is because if that person messes up or does something stupid, the gang isn't really liable for that. Sure, the person might be able to talk to the police, but there's not really going to be that much evidence. And so, like, for example, they might force somebody to, like, move something illegal for them. They might force somebody to even in the worst moments kill somebody, somebody else that they don't like. Like in The Ballad of Gay Tony, look at what happened to Tony Prince. He borrowed money from Rocco, who was a loan shark in the Ancelotti family, and Rocco made Tony do all these ridiculous things to pay off his debt. And even though Tony did all these ridiculous things, it was never enough to pay off the debt. Never enough. There we go.
I'm not a cow.
And I remember what Luis said in the Ballad of Gay Tony. He said that
No, really.
even if we had the money, I don't think they would take it back. Because they just want to keep they want to just keep using Tony constantly. Also, you had the loan sharks in I remember now, GTA 4, at the beginning of GTA 4. What was his name? Garden and Bleder, the guys that beat up Roman. Roman borrowed money from them, ended up gambling. Wow, these loan shark missions are just so easy. You just lightly tap the truck and they just get out and run away. Wow, these are just so easy. There's also another example of loan sharking that I can think of in movies. In The Sopranos, again, in later seasons, there's a scene in which Artie, who is like Tony's best friend from childhood, now Artie runs a restaurant in the show. Artie isn't even associated. Well, I mean, he is a little bit associated with the mafia, but he's not even a member of the mafia. He just runs his restaurant, and so what ends up happening is he meets this French guy that tells him that if he gives him like $50,000, that he'll invest it in like this fancy wine or champagne or something like that, and that they're gonna make a ton of money back. And so basically, Artie went to Artie didn't want to go to Tony, and so he tried to go to Ralph, who was another member of Tony's mafia, and he tried to get get a loan from Ralph. And the thing is, the second that Ralph heard about this, Ralph figured that it was a scam, that Artie wasn't going to be able to pay him back. And so, Ralph turned it down, and he told, normally a loan shark wouldn't turn that down, because Artie runs a restaurant. And so the loan shark could just keep abusing Artie constantly and just keep taking money from him because he runs a fancy restaurant. But the reason that Ralph turned it down in that case is because this guy was the best friend of the boss of the family. And so if Ralph loaned him money and Artie wasn't able to pay it back, Ralph wouldn't be able to hurt Artie to get the money back because he's the boss's friend, just like Ralph said. And so Artie ends up borrowing the money from Tony. Tony gives it to him, and then the guy that he gave the money to ends up telling him that there's been problems and that we don't have the money right now. So he got basically scammed, and so Artie ends up in the hospital. He tries to hurt himself, and Tony actually, it's like one of the few times in The Sopranos where Tony actually has like a how would I say, a moral moment. Okay. So Tony ends up telling Artie that it's fine, that just wipe my tab at the restaurant, and I'll assume the guy's dead, and you don't have to worry about it. So like, you know, Tony did a major favor for his friend there, and I don't know if Tony knew that it was a scam in the first place just to wipe out his restaurant debt, but that was one of the few moral moments that he had in the TV show, because that Tony was a pretty bad guy in the TV show. But, you know, that's the most examples that I can think of a loan shark when it comes to, like, you know, movies and games and TV shows. Just basically think of somebody that, ultimately, think of somebody that picks on other people. Like, you know, targets people that they know are going to have a hard time paying off their money. And then, when they don't pay off the money, they're going to beat them up and, you know, basically threaten them and use them for a long time. That's why they're called a loan shark. you know, stealing vehicles from the owners. This is actually a good way for the loan sharks to actually get a lot of their money back and more. And I don't think they'll even stop at the stolen vehicles. They'll still keep harassing that person. So, you know, when you think about it, when they take a car, especially if it's an expensive car that the person owns, you know, they could take it to a chop shop, which a lot of times these mafias own it, and they could, like, completely change the plates around, change the design of the car. They could sell the car illegally for a much, for a pretty good profit. You know, Vix keeps repossessing these trucks full of, like, TVs. A lot of good money from that. Okay, last mission now. Here we go. Oh, you know, 2 more missions, I'm sorry.
Other cars and boat, you dig? Have a nice day.
Yeah, these loan shark missions are just so much easier than the they're so much easier than the protection racket missions. The protection racket missions were kind of easy too, but you don't have to get constantly shot at during these missions. Is basically take the bike or take the truck, and both of them are pretty easy to take. Okay, here we go. Last mission now. Pretty close by too.
He's like one big puta waiting for
Get out of my
binga.
face,
It's
Yankee.
another playa Girón, compadre.
Well, looks like I chose a pretty good location for the loan shark business, because this location is like really good, because I can just take it through this alley here every time I need to take a shortcut. Your loan sharking reputation has maxed out. You're now the Crim Reaper. Huh.
Damn girl left me a TV dinner.
So I guess we'll leave it. I guess we'll leave it off here then. Let's see, how much money did we get? Payday, right? Payday. Let's see. That's Empire earnings for the day. $33,450. Nice. So this is ultimately what the loan sharking business looks like. And if you think about it, it looks just like regular offices. That's what's kind of scary about it. But this is very much an illegal business. So I guess that's what we got right here. We'll end it off here. So thank you guys for watching. On the next one, I'll have the prostitution racket missions. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone.